everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. Today I'm going to be doing the reader problems tag. Question number 1 says, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How do you decide what to read next? I usually am a mood reader, so I'll go with whatever sounds good to me at the time. I try to make plans for my TBR each month, but some months I just don't follow that plan, and that's okay. I'd rather read consistently, reading something that I enjoy, than feel like I'm forced to read something just because it was on my TBR for the month. Question number 2 says, you are halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or do you stay committed? For the most part, I stay committed. There are a couple books that I have DNF'd in the past, and I still feel a little guilty that I've DNF'd those books because I feel like books I DNF don't count towards my goal of the year. So I definitely am a person who stays more committed instead of just giving up and picking something I would rather read. Question number 3 says, the end of the year is coming up and you're close but still so far from meeting your GoodReads challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? I am a little bit of an anomaly. I do not set goals that I don't think I can keep. So I'm not somebody who's going to say I can read 100 books this year. That's not going to happen. I'm a teacher. There are things that have to have more importance in my life sometimes than reading. So setting a goal that I can't obtain is something that I just don't do. So I try to stick to about 3 books a month. So about 36 books for a year. That's at least what my 2021 goal is going to be, because I think that's reasonable. I'm never going to say I'm going to read 300 books in a year. That's just insane. My dog has come into the office and he's trying to get the Christmas presents. Zeke, what are you doing? Hey, buddy. Hi. Can you say hi? Say hi, puppy. You're so handsome. You're so handsome. Back to the tag video. Question number 4 says, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? My initial response is I won't buy them, but that's not entirely true because I have Return of the Thief right here in hardcover with the style of cover that is my favorite, and I bought it, but the rest of the series doesn't come either in hardcover with that style or it comes in paperback with that style, but I'm not buying and mixing paperback and hardcover. I just can't do it. So for the most part, I just won't buy them. But then there are some books that I just can't say no to. So I'd say on the whole, maybe 75-80% of the time I won't buy the books. And then if I really love them, I'd buy the books and just deal with it. Question number 5 says, everybody and their mother loves a book that you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? And the first person I can think of is my sister-in-law, because we have very similar tastes in books, and we are, I'd say we're pretty close in reading styles, and we can commiserate together on books that it seems like everybody loves. For example, I'm reading one right now on my iPad that I cannot stand, and like I said in the previous question, I don't really DNF books. So I'm at 46%. I'm trying to power through this book and I can't stand it, but I'm going to wait until she reads it so we can talk about it because it's just driving me crazy. I might post on Instagram about it and see what other people think and then talk to them in the comments, but the only other person that I can think of that I would really talk to about it is my husband, and I'd share a little bit about the book with him. Question number 6 says, you're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you deal? I am the kind of person who wouldn't read a book that would make me cry in public, or if it does, I tilt my head back and blink the tears back into my eye until they dry up. I don't really go in public that much, and if I do, it's with a purpose, especially with the pandemic, so this doesn't really seem to be a problem for me. The next question says, a sequel to a book you loved just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the previous novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on GoodReads, cry in frustration? This happened to me with Blood and Honey. I completely forgot a lot of the details from Serpent and Dove, and I only read it in February, but I think the easiest thing for me to do is either watch book reviews and see what people say, or little summaries, or read GoodReads, or there's another website and I can't think of what it is, where they summarize the book. It's like cliff notes on the book, and then I can go into the sequel knowing what I should know before the book starts. But when I started Blood and Honey, I could not remember who Bo was to save my life, and I just kept thinking, I don't know who this guy is. So I did have to go look up the synopsis and figure out who he is and what his part in the story was. Question number 8 says, you do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely turn them down? I am one of these people who does not let people borrow my books. The only time I lend a book to somebody is when I'm completely fine with never getting it back. And usually that's a paperback copy because I'll just replace it with the hardback. I will lend books to my sister-in-law because we are very similar in how we treat books and how we see stories, and we understand the importance to one another. But I really won't lend books to people, and I don't have a polite way to turn them down. I'm fairly blunt when it comes to somebody asking to borrow a book. If it's somebody that I think is going to either ruin the book or not return it to me the way I have sent it to them, I'll just say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that. Not to sound rude, but books are expensive. Number 9 says, reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books this month. How do you get out of your reading slump? I don't know. I don't know how to get out of a reading slump. I kind of just force myself to read a little bit each day. And when I do that, I'm able to power through, and eventually I'll come across something that really piques my interest. I try to force myself to read just a little bit every day. I might switch between books and try to keep my interest going, and in hopes that I find something that will get me out of my slump, but really I just power through or wait until I find something that's really interesting. Number 10 says, there are so many new books coming out that you are dying to read. How do you decide which ones to buy? Well, it depends. Sometimes if it's a book that I really want, I'll pre-order it, so it's already paid for when it gets to me, and it gets to me relatively soon after its release date, so I don't feel bad about having it because I've already budgeted for that book ahead of time. I'm not one of those people who's just going to willy-nilly buy a bunch of books without planning. I have a budget every month that I put towards books, and that's it. I don't go above that budget. A lot of the books I get are books that have come out previously, so they are through thrift books or book depository, and they're relatively inexpensive. If it's a book that I really like, I am a teacher, so my Barnes & Noble account, I get a certain percentage off with every book purchase, and I have a teacher account at Half Price Books, so I can get new releases relatively inexpensive there as well. Number 11 says, after you've bought the books that you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you actually read them? For me, that depends on the book. There are a couple up here that I haven't read yet, and it's not because I don't want to get to them. It's because there's other things happening in my life that take priority over reading. And part of that is maintaining relationships with the people in my life. So my husband, because we can't see anybody else, but also I have a dog to take care of. So I need to take him to the park every day. I need to walk him a lot. He's a husky. He has lots of energy. So there isn't a set time that I allow myself to wait to read something. It's really goes back to that other question about getting out of a slump or picking what to read next. It's based on mood. A question that's not on this tag that I'm going to add is, what's something that irritates you about books or reading? And one of the things that irritates me is when the margins of a page are not evenly spaced. For example, as you can see, the margins on this page, they are not exactly the same on the top and the bottom. Now, I know the author's name is at the top of the page, and so that's going to take up a little bit of that margin. However, the margin at the bottom of the page is noticeably smaller than the margin at the top. And I really do, truly, in my life, have OCD. I was diagnosed with OCD a couple of years ago. I'm not somebody just using OCD as a, get out of jail free card when something irritates them. Without getting into it, lots of things in my life have to be perfectly done or done my way. And I know that's a problem. I know it's something that I'm working on. But the margins on this page drive me crazy because they are noticeably different. Yes, I understand the author's name is at the top, but I would really love to see the margins be exactly the same at the top and the bottom. Thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions for me to answer, leave them in the comments down below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!